Joining us now, Senate Budget Committee member, Senator Roger Marshall from the state of Kansas. Senator, great to have you here. So when this gets to the Senate, and I will say when this gets to the Senate, where is the Senate? We saw Steve Daines earlier talking about immediate cuts, not phasing. Does the Senate have an alternate plan, or are they on plan? Are you on plan with the House?
Well, David, it's great to be with you and Dagan as well. I just want to give my full compliments to Speaker Mike Johnson. He's doing a great job to get us a bill. It's not finished yet, but he's going to get it close to a finished version. He's got President Trump to come in here and help him close the deal. When it gets to us, we need to make it better. We need to work towards a balanced budget at the end of the day. The number one long-term problem this nation faces is this $36 trillion national debt. So I do think that there's a great opportunity to cut some of that spending that's still out there. So we can take their bill and we can make it better.
But Senator, first and foremost, now we haven't seen the final changes. You know, the Speaker has the manager's amendment that is essentially his final changes that get added into this bill. But it only cuts roughly, as of what we know so far, $160 billion every year over 10 years. And that's about enough to cover a month and a half of the interest that we pay on our national debt. And, sir, the buyers of our debt went on strike somewhat today, and interest rates skyrocketed higher. Or is anyone paying attention to that on Capitol Hill? Because I tell you, the 10-year yield settled the highest since this February, but the yield on the 30-year Treasury topped 5%, almost 5.1. That's the highest since October of 2023. And if they keep going higher, that's a death spiral in terms of our interest expense, sir.
Yes, Dagan, you're spot on. And to answer your question, yes, we are paying attention. We spent a whole hour, almost an hour and a half today over lunch, the entire Republican caucus in the Senate, talking about just this, that we are facing this fiscal cliff right now and the challenges with selling our debt as well. That higher the interest rate, the more our debt's going to speed. That we're spending $1 trillion a year right now on interest. We're taking in $5 trillion, we're spending $7 trillion. And that's why we need to take this bill from the House and bring it over to a more conservative Senate. Look, there's no senators that are in a SALT state. So we don't feel the pain quite like that they're feeling in regards to that. Look, we may lose the election. We may lose the House. I don't know the answer to that, but we need to do the right thing. And we need, for crying out loud, what we don't want is a $4.5 trillion tax increase. Passing this bill could easily mean $6,000 or $8,000 to an American family each year.
I just want to note that the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, wrote an op-ed back in December of 2021 called Salt in the Wound. He has never been a fan of the state and local tax deduction. And when he was asked by Punchbowl about that $40,000 cap for couples, he seemed shocked. So what the Veruca Salt Caucus got in the House, I can't wait to see what you senators do with it in the other chamber. Go on.
Well, I mean, I'd love to go more on the salt, but let's get on to a couple of other things. One, the difference between some of the House plans to phase in. What will the Senate do to cut immediately? Lowering the tax rates. I mentioned Steve Daines earlier. The senator talked a little bit about it. Do you have plans? And can you keep that within the reconciliation guidelines so the parliamentarian doesn't shut you down?
Well, look, we have to figure out a way to do it. I'm not the lawyer. Certainly Medicaid is something I am most familiar with. We can move those work requirements from 2029 that the House has. We can move those up to 2027. There's a provider tax issue on the Medicaid, and we can start winding that down as well. And all these things mean billions and billions of dollars. I just can't help but go back to the SALT. That number of $40,000 is going to cost over $1 trillion. And that's why someone like Leader Thune from South Dakota, I'm from Kansas, we don't feel like we should be supplementing that. That's over $1 trillion of taxpayer money.
Well, you know, Steve Forbes here said, lower the income tax rate. There's an idea for the Congress.
You shouldn't have to supplement it. Not you, not your constituents, and not the constituents and taxpayers in any state, Senator. Amen. I cannot wait to see what you take on once this bill passes out of the House. Senator Roger Marshall, thank you, sir.